You know, I was never a fan of InfoWars, at all. I made one video of them in the past, I think, but I never wanted to look back. But yet here we are. I was looking around at some Flat Earth channels trying to find some stupid to respond to, and I saw that many Flat Earthers mirrored this one video that had the InfoWars logo at the bottom corner. Wow, I thought to myself, there's no way, right? I mean, I'm a little out of the loop for Flat Earth stuff, so this is news to me. Alright, let's have a look.
In the age of social media censorship, questioning whether or not the Earth is a globe has been deemed harmful thought. But why is this?
If you're implying that Flat Earthers are being censored, I don't really see that being the case. But I most definitely can see how thinking the Earth is flat can be a harmful thought, I guess. The idea itself may not be that harmful, but it can be such an easy gateway to other types of conspiracy theories. If you're convinced that the government is hiding something from the general public for some sinister reason, then you're more likely to believe they're hiding other stuff from you too. And it doesn't just stop there. You'll be more likely to stop trusting science and doctors, which could lead you to believing all sorts of wacky stuff too, like alternative medicine. I don't think the idea of Flat Earth itself is harmful to begin with, but what it could potentially lead to could be much, much worse.
We seem to be conditioned to think that the issue has been scientifically settled. But this is not the case.
It is the case.
Our most popular scientists recognize that the geocentric model, where the Earth is at the center of the universe, is observably accurate.
Okay, please don't misrepresent what these scientists are saying. Due to relativity, technically you could put anything as the center of the solar system and map out the paths of everything in it in respect to whatever you decide to put in the center. So by that logic, yeah, you could put Earth as the center if you wanted to. Is it accurate? Kind of, but not really. Because everything in the diagram would still be revolving based on the sun's gravity, so it's still more accurate to have the sun as the center. Nice try though. Anyway, he does a bit more of misquoting and misrepresenting scientists, so we're just going to skip that.
The Michelson-Morley experiment in the 1880s proved the Earth was stationary.
Since I've covered this already and many other channels have covered this, I'll just briefly explain what the Michelson-Morley experiment was. It did not prove the Earth was stationary. It tried to find the existence of ether, which we originally thought had to exist because waves travel through a medium. Since light can be treated as a wave, scientists proposed that an invisible medium called the ether had to exist. The failure of the experiment disproved that, which eventually led to the development of the theory of relativity. It didn't prove anything in regards to the Earth being stationary. That's just ridiculous and a huge misrepresentation of the experiment itself. You know, it's absolutely annoying when people just believe whatever they see without verifying if what they saw is true or not. Like the Michelson-Morley experiment has absolutely nothing to do with the Earth being stationary, but yet I see this point being brought up everywhere. Literally all the flat earthers use this point, when they could just do one simple Google search and find out what the purpose of the experiment truly was. Ridiculous.
We are conditioned to think that the heliocentric model is scientifically superior to the geocentric model. But when we apply scientific reasoning, we discover that this is not true. According to the heliocentric Earth model, the Earth is 24,000 miles in circumference, and if one were standing at sea level, they should only be able to see less than 3 miles before the surface of the Earth curves out of view. But this has been proven to be false for centuries, from the Bedford Level experiments of 1838 to modern photography. This photograph of Chicago was taken almost 60 miles away from Grand Mere State Park in Michigan. On a spherical Earth, this would be impossible. Using the Pythagorean Theorem and the current dimensions of the Earth, the top of the tallest skyscraper should be 900 feet below the observable horizon.
Yes, the classic Chicago skyline. Just absolutely my favorite. Definitely not something I've heard 1,000 times already. I mean, InfoWars at this point is just cycling through common flawed arguments that flat earthers have presented in the past, but have already proven to be wrong. I mean, not even the flat earthers themselves really make this point anymore. When was the last time you saw a video from a flat earther talking about the Chicago skyline? That's like so last year or something. Same with the Michelson-Morley experiment. InfoWars is so behind on this. The only thing is that they have, I suppose, a pretty large audience, which sounds quite scary, who are already prone to believe in some crazy shit. Something like the Earth being flat would be sucked up so fast. Anyway, InfoWars literally debunks themselves immediately after. I don't even have to say a word.
Local news explained this anomaly by claiming the image was a mirage.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage.
They claimed that somehow light refraction and perfect weather conditions are responsible for creating a photorealistic mirage of the Chicago skyline, appearing to sit on the flat horizon from almost 60 miles away.
Well, there you go, you just disproved yourself. Atmospheric refraction is a big thing. Light can bend in all sorts of wacky ways. For example, in this case, if you have a relatively rare condition in which a set of cold air resides below hot air, it could produce an index of refraction gradient where it is higher near the water. Since light bends towards the normal when entering a high index, this allows the light to curve around the Earth so that we can see the Chicago skyline from over 90 kilometers away. This actually shouldn't be a surprise to many because light bending can be seen almost everywhere. If there are patches of heat, for example, you could see some wavering of light because temperature can mess with the air's refraction index. If you look at water of any sort, the light is clearly bending as well. Hell, even the sun isn't seen to be in the correct position in the sky due to the refraction of light through the atmosphere. This kind of stuff is all over the place, so you shouldn't be surprised when you see something like the Chicago skyline.
Anomalies in the Earth's curvature can also be found in old lighthouses, able to be seen for several miles past what is possible on the heliocentric model.
Why do you think lighthouses have to be tall? On the flat Earth, there shouldn't be anything obstructing your vision to buildings on land if you're in the middle of the ocean, so you should be able to see lighthouses no matter how far away you are. But yet you can't because of the curvature of the Earth. Lighthouses are then built to be tall so they can be seen from as far away as possible. That's something that has been done to compensate for the curvature.
Many of us tend to think the planet is too big to observe curvature, but the empirical evidence tells us that either the surface of the Earth is a flat plane, or the planet is at least 100 times bigger than we are told.
Yeah, don't mention how you came up with those conclusions, or what your, quote, empirical evidence is. It's not like science requires those things in order for you to prove your hypotheses.
Another very intriguing argument for flat earthers is Antarctica, the mysterious massive continent at our southern pole that nobody is allowed to explore.
Actually, you are allowed to explore Antarctica. In fact, there are tourist groups that specifically take you to Antarctica, for a fee of course. Let's not ignore that those exist. Sure, there is a treaty that aims to preserve Antarctica for scientific discovery purposes, but they mostly ban the use of Antarctica as battlegrounds in war. If you desperately wanted to go, there's nothing really stopping you. Just be prepared to be very cold and very, very wrong.
After sailing over 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, Captain Cook was never able to complete the journey around the ice continent, which is supposed to be just under 12,000 miles around. Neither was James Clark Ross or the British ship Challenger.
Oh, fuck off. This is such dishonesty. These people or ships never attempted to sail around Antarctica. The Challenger, for example, never even went south enough to see Antarctica. James Clark Ross did arrive in Antarctica, but by no means did he attempt to circumnavigate it. But if you Google people who have circumnavigated Antarctica, there are plenty. In fact, some people have done it as part of a competition. There are records set all over the place, such as the first person to solo sail around Antarctica. Most of these voyages have obviously been done more recently because of the advancement of sailing technology, but the first signs of circumnavigating Antarctica has been recorded to as early as the 18th century by James Cook. Why, InfoWars, are you so adamant on participating in such dishonesty? It feels like some of the things that flat earthers bring up are because they're stupid and uneducated, but this point right here almost feels like it was just an intentional lie.
The azimuthal equidistant projection map, produced by the U.S. Geological Survey, has been used for centuries for the fact that all directions or azimuths are correct and all distances are at true scale.
No, absolutely not. The azimuthal equidistant projection only has accurate distance measurements from the center, or the North Pole, to any other place on the map. If you try to use it for the distance between two places other than the center, then it is not accurate whatsoever. It's funny that flat earthers use this map. They couldn't even come up with their own and had to borrow one that already existed. Be a little more creative, will ya?
Studying this map, one can clearly see how man has been able to accurately circumnavigate the Earth on a flat plane model. And if it is in fact accurate, then it explains why after 60,000 miles, nobody has been able to completely circumnavigate Antarctica.
Well, good thing it has been done.
And on December 1st, 1959, all 12 countries active in Antarctica signed a United Nations treaty that outlawed all public travel south of the 60th southern parallel.
The Antarctic Treaty was for the purpose of preserving Antarctica for scientific purposes, and it bans military activity on the continent. I've said this so many times on my channel, and it's getting kind of tedious. If you want full information on it, there's an entire Wikipedia page that dedicates to describing how it formed, the purpose of the treaty, and why it's essential. It is incredibly important that we preserve this continent for research. We can learn so much just by studying the ice on Antarctica, and I think it's best that we don't lose that. Anyway, that's my time today. I don't know when this video is being released, probably 2020, but now that we're here, I am finally back from vacation and will be returning to making videos on a regular schedule. Special thanks to Fireshard once again, and I'll see you later.